Hi, friends. Welcome to our meditation time. I invite you just to settle in, whatever spot you have chosen, get your body comfortable. Allow your eyes to either close or just remove the distractions that are around you by softening your gaze, just whatever feels right. And as you do that, also allow the jaw to soften. Just allow the muscles in your face to soften. And then begin to notice the breath. And see if you can make the breath itself even soft. Just a gentle breath in and a gentle breath out. Really arriving into this moment, into this practice with just gentleness and softness. And from those comes stillness. And so just breathe slow and compassionately. And really allow yourself to be. There's no agenda. There's nothing that we're trying to master. There's really nothing that we're trying to do. We show up to practice being. And the more that we practice it, the more that it becomes so natural. We still get distracted. We still get busy. But it's like our body begins to kind of urge us into this state that we're finding right here, right now. So just notice after these first just few seconds if there's a shift. Notice the body, notice the face, the jaw, the thoughts. And as you know, we are on this journey with the Yoga Sutras. And each day I just anticipate just one more lesson to share, one more tool to put in our toolbox. And this whole first chapter that we've been sitting with for these last just many weeks, this whole first chapter is all about understanding that yoga calms the fluctuations of our mind. Yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. And then there are these lines that follow that assurance that tell you how to do it. So it doesn't become this unattainable idea of if we just meditate long enough and hard enough and consistently enough that we'll get it. But rather this beautiful message is shared with us with the how. Try this, see if it works. Try that, see how you respond. So that over time you just get this beautiful just bank of resources. So no matter what life throws at you, no matter how the weather changes, no matter how people act, you have a resource to draw from. And today is no different. So today we are on Yoga Sutra 1, number 39. And I love this one because it's so open and it's so freeing, but also because it puts the responsibility of how we meditate in our own hands. So Patanjali says, I have one more suggestion on how to calm these disturbances in your mind, how to calm the chatter, how to lessen the noise. He says, meditate on something that you choose. Meditate on something that you choose. But then he gives you a caveat to that and he says, make sure that it's something that is elevating, something that is uplifting. And so he puts it back in our hands and he says, I've given you all these tools. I've given you very concrete suggestions on how to calm these waves of thoughts, how to calm these disturbances in our minds, this chatter. He says, but I also want to give you the option for you to choose. Something that you find to be uplifting and elevate, meditate on that. And there is, I think, this beautiful essence in this one verse, this one line, that really shows that meditation and yoga and this practice is for all faiths. It's for all spiritual teachings. It's for all groups. Because he says, I've given you these resources, now I want you to choose. If you have something that is uplifting and affirming and elevating to you, meditate on that. And when I read that one and I study it, I always think about different groups that have special things associated with their belief systems. I think about the rosary. And I remember my great-grandmother, as I was growing up, spending many, many nights in her house, that I would hear her in the night reciting her rosary, holding this precious tool in her hand and saying these prayers that she had said for her whole life. They weren't rote. They weren't robotic. They were the essence of her faith and her practice. And sometimes I'd notice her voice would crack and she would get emotional as she would say these prayers with her rosary that she had said so many times. But on that night, it did something to her heart. And so I think about this verse from the Yoga Sutras that says, meditate on that which is uplifting to you. And while my great-grandmother, maybe back in the 60s and 70s, didn't know anything about yoga, she knew how to pause and focus on something that was uplifting and elevating to her and her spirit. She was practicing meditation as she said her rosary. And so I give you that example so that you can just think of something. If there's something that is precious and special to you, that every time you pause and you think on it, or you sit with it, or you look at it, or you hold it in your hand, something begins to stir in your heart center. Something begins to just feel warm right around your heart. You can't really describe it in words, but it's uplifting, it's elevating, it's affirming, and it is good. And so I want to just pause there and just see if something comes to you, something resonates with you. Maybe there's a piece of jewelry that has really special significance for you. Maybe it's on your wrist, it's on your hand, and you just kind of touch it, or you just focus your gaze there, and that's the piece that's uplifting. And you meditate and you concentrate on that. Maybe there's a crystal, a stone, a precious piece of our earth that sits on your table. The color of it, the shape of it, the way it feels in your hand. Maybe that is the thing that's uplifting and elevating, and you meditate on that. So I want to just pause and just reflect for just a few seconds and see what comes to mind. But then Patanjali goes on in the commentary to say, I want to give you the choices. I want to leave this open to you. But I also know that sometimes you need a little guidance. And that is why we have teachers. There's this beautiful commentary on this one sutra, this 139, that says, you would never just drive through a new city that you've never been through before, that you've never experienced before. You wouldn't just drive through it without checking the map or consulting someone on the corner or turning on the GPS. You'd seek guidance. You would seek guidance to find your way. And so maybe something doesn't resonate with you yet. Maybe you don't have that thing, that uplifting tool, that mantra, that stone, that piece of jewelry, that rosary, whatever it is. Maybe you need guidance. And so I want to offer to you the chance just to meditate on something that I find to be elevating and uplifting every single time. And then I can offer that to you as an option as well. There is something special about nature. And no matter what season we are in, I find something in nature that is uplifting. As I brought my plants in tonight because it's going to be cold the next few weeks, I just thought about this idea of this beautiful protection that I'm giving to these plants so that they can bring me joy. They can lift my spirit up in the coming days. And so maybe there's something in nature that really resonates with you. Maybe it's the sky. Maybe it is the sound of the birds. Maybe it's a bloom on a flower. So I would offer that to you as a spot to start. If you don't have a thing, a special significant thing that you want to focus on nature. I would also offer to you the breath. I know we use the breath for a lot. I know I suggest it for a lot of things and a lot of situations, but it is this beautiful, powerful tool that as you watch it come in, you realize you are alive. And as you watch it go out, you realize that there are toxins leaving your body, all because of how the breath works. That is something uplifting upon which you can meditate. I also think about the beautiful relationship between a mother and a child. Not once the child gets a personality and does all the things, but this idea of this child growing inside of its mother. This beautiful nourishment that happens across all these weeks. Just the concept of how humanity continues. And if you've been a mother and you've had a child, or your spouse has, and you've watched this progression of just life forming, maybe that is the uplifting image in your mind, and you meditate on that. And so I offer you these suggestions just as guidance, so that you don't feel like you're leaving it up to your mind to decide, because that's where we tend to get into a little trouble. The mind is what we're trying to harness. The mind is what we're trying to ease the fluctuations of. So if you don't have a tool like my great-grandmother's rosary, or that beautiful amethyst that I have sitting on my table right here next to me, maybe nature is what you meditate on. Maybe the breath. Maybe the gift of life represented as a baby grows and extends this beautiful thing called humanity. And so we're going to just spend just these next couple of minutes together choosing the thing that we will meditate on. Feeling both the freedom to choose, but also feeling the magnitude of what a gift that is. There's no dogma associated with meditation. There's no rules and regulations. You choose the thing to elevate your spirit, to liberate your mind from the chatter, from the noise, from the negativity out in the world. And let's meditate on that. So as we settle in together with each of us focused on the thing of our choice, let's just take a few breaths together. So slowly breathing in, gently taking that in-breath, and then slowly breathing out, just as gently letting it go. Slowly breathing in, gently breathing out. In and out. And whatever that thing is for you, if it's tangible and you have it there, touch it with your hand. Otherwise, put it right there in your mind's eye. Keep your focus there. Meditating on the thing that lifts your spirit, that elevates your heart and your soul, and that anchors you to the here and to the now. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. This practice calms the chatter in our mind. This practice eases the turbulence in our thoughts. This practice washes over us and brings peace to a mind that sometimes feels like it can never be still. But that same stillness that we brought into our bodies, that same softness that we brought across our face and through our jaw, that same uplifted, beautiful sensation we feel in our spirit, all of those things can be reflected in our mind. It just takes intention and practice, and it takes an object of our meditation. Sometimes it's the breath. Sometimes it's the rosary. Sometimes it's the crystal. Sometimes it's an image of the breeze blowing in the trees and the bud of the flower beginning to bloom. So I encourage you in the coming days, when you feel that the softness has left and the rigidity and the hardness and the contractions beginning to come into your heart, the way that it comes into your muscles. When you notice these things beginning to happen, soften. You choose the object of your meditation. You choose the thing that uplifts your spirit, the thing that elevates, the thing that calms the contraction and the rigidity and eases the fluctuations of your mind. So as we prepare to close our time, I encourage you just to be encouraged by the fact that you get to own your practice. Yes, there is guidance. Yes, there are teachings that we keep going back to again and again. But once we make this practice truly ours, we personalize it, it stays with us. It comforts us, and it calms those fluctuations, and it quiets that chatter. Rely on it. Come back to it again and again. Namaste.